It's that time again for 5 minutes of free advice brought to you by 7 Generation Games. Games that make you smarter. Today's topic is Internet friends. Now, I say friends in quotes because we all know that internet friends and real friends are not the same thing. Internet friends are people that maybe have a Wikipedia level of knowledge of you. They maybe know what you do for a living or when you were born, but real friends know things like don't bring up that thing that gets you really upset because it reminds you of the time when that really bad thing happened that you don't want to talk about, but they know it anyway. And they know the silly things about you that you like chocolate covered strawberries or you hate penguins. Now, you can move from being somebody's internet friend to their real friend. In fact, I know this because my husband, or some people refer to him as my alleged husband because they never see him, this is how we met over the internet. This is way before OkCupid or any of these things existed. In fact, if you think about what the internet was originally for, do you know? It was originally for facilitating research among universities. So my husband had passed away several months previously, and my answer to everything is to work. If I'm feeling worried, I work. If I'm feeling sad, I work. If I'm feeling angry, I work. Stressed out, you get the idea. So he had died and left a pile of bills this high, tax bills and medical bills and funeral bills. So I just worked 3 jobs. I was writing grants, working as a consultant, teaching full time at the college. But Christmas came along and all the papers were graded. My government and educational and social service clients were all closed. And here I'm in my office, and the college got this new internet thing. And we had CompuServe at home, but you had to pay for it by the hour. And when you have 3 kids and a pile of bills, you're kind of watching your expenses, right? So I'm on this new internet thing, checking out, trying to find if anybody I know possibly has a web page or an email or anything, and just see what's out there. And I see one web page from a guy who had attended UCLA in physics. Now, I was trying to track down a friend of mine whose father was a physics professor at the University of California. So I email the one person in UC physics who has a webpage and say, do you happen to know so and so? And this kind of sounds crazy now, but like I said, back then, the internet was kind of a new thing. And he wrote me back and said, well, I don't know him, but I went and looked up in the campus phone book. They actually had printed phone books, and he sent me the information. Now, here's where it gets really interesting because remember, this was before Google or YouTube or blogs or any of that stuff. So he's got an email from me out of the blue, and all he knows is that I'm a professor at a college in North Dakota who had a particular question he answered. So, for whatever reason, he decides that he's interested in becoming friends. Maybe because I was the only woman that he'd ever met that had an internet um, access and an email address, but whatever. So he actually does research on this, I find out years later. Apparently, there were even back then forums and things saying, if you want to contact a woman that you have met on the internet, of which there were about 16, here is how you would get to know them. So, advice number one that he'd followed, that you should have a common interest or approach them, or in his case, I had approached him, so that made it easy, on something that's non threatening. I'm trying to contact Dr. So and so. Do you happen to know them? So, number one solved. Second thing it said, don't be too desperate in the sense that you're contacting this person over and over and over. So, all you people who have sent me 70 or 150 direct messages or emails or Facebook messages, cut it out. And his point was if you met some woman, say, a social event or at work or a bar or whatever, you wouldn't call her every 3 hours. So don't contact them too often. Make the initial contact about something that's of mutual interest. Try to be in some small way beneficial, providing an address, for example. You don't have to, send them a candy yam. And then try to get to know them a little. Do not send them pictures of your private parts. Back then, they didn't even have attachments for a lot of the email, so it wasn't really an option. But I mean, seriously, ew, who does it? So every few days, he would send me an email about something. Oh, I saw this journal that you might be interested in. You mentioned you were doing this research. Find common interest. And then I think if you're going to become friends, this is the only way it has ever worked for me. And I've actually become friends since then with a few people I met over the internet. You really have to meet up in person. I don't think that you can get to know someone through the internet. Maybe you can, but it's never really been that case for me. So in my case, I travel a lot. I happen to be in Washington, D.C. He was coming to Washington, D.C. for vacation. Now he confesses later that he booked his vacation plans immediately after I had said in an email I was going to be in D.C., but he'd always wanted to see the Smithsonian. We met up, we had dinner, we saw a bunch of stuff, and now here we are married and our daughter's going off to college soon. But I think that's the key. Meet them in person, have common interests, don't be crazy, and actually have some legitimate interest in them. And maybe have fun with it. I mean, we kind of wrote back and forth for a while. I remember one of the emails I sent to him, we were just getting to know each other. I said, well, I'll give you a hint about me. I won the world championships in a sport. Can you guess which one? And he wrote back and said, well, since you live in North Dakota, I'm going to guess cross country skiing. Not even close. And that's your free advice from 7 Generation Games, games that make you smarter. Go to www.7generationgames.com and download a game for yourself or donate one to a school or your favorite child.